Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to King Kobbler's state-of-the-art repair shop, featuring handcrafted Fender mods. Your amp will never be the same. I guarantee that.
Well, good deal on the old Kobbler, giving D-Lab plenty of projects these days. This amplifier comes to me from a fellow in Texas, and I got a note here from him. He says, Terry, this is how I bought this amp. With all the mods, it sounds like overdrive is on all the time. So he wants me to unmod the amp, take it back to stock. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to uncobble the cobbling. Let's do a little guided tour of the amp. On the left side, the Deluxe appears to be normal. But then you get here and you have this labeling saying vibrato. And this used to be the location of the input jacks for that channel, and now we got these cool pots, right? You can see there's been some more labeling added. It appears as though there is a mid boost here, which is a switch. Master volume, so the reverb has been removed, unfortunately. And you can see you still have your speed and intensity for the original tremolo. Let's take a look inside. So there we have the stock power transformer, and you can see the stamp. This amp was built in 1971. Pan across here, and believe me, it's going to get good in a minute. See all those nice blue caps? But then, what do we got here? Got a bunch of circus boards. They've been neatly installed using electrical tape and zip ties. Very secure, right? Back here, we have a DIN plug, and I was informed that that is for a high-tech foot switch. Let's flip around, take a look at the back side. So there is that DIN jack I was telling you about for the foot switch. We got another pot here. That is, it says reverb. I thought that was removed. Still got the reverb jacks, and now we have another control, and that is presence. So somebody's having a lot of fun with this amp. The rest of the back side looks original. Let's take a look at the top. All the tubes are removed at this time except for the solid state rectifier, and it appears as though the socket has also been replaced. You can see it's kind of raised above the chassis a little bit, kind of a strange setup. So the power transformer looks original, so does the reverb transformer, and I believe the output transformer is original. However, there's been some bracketeering going on here. I don't know what happened to the tab that used to mount it. It's either that or this one doesn't belong, but it does have a 606 part number. Now over here is where it kind of gets fun. We have an additional little power transformer here feeding some circuitry, and I believe this circuitry is feeding the circuits underneath the amp. So this is probably a little DC power supply with some little smugulators. But here's the interesting part. Look where the output goes. Right into the capacitor bank. So obviously I need to open that up and see what's going on. It's probably not going to be pretty. Still have the original reverb transformer, and it appears as though all the tube sockets are original. Got quite the job here. So I've removed the screws for the cap cover. So let's see where this green and white wire goes. Alright, well, at least they're not hooked into the high voltage. They just dive down through the same hole that the caps do to feed the rest of the amp. Matter of convenience. And you can see we have those old Illinois capacitors in there, which I'm not a fan of either. So we'll probably end up changing those. But first, I gotta see if this amp works. Well, I'd have to say that this is the biggest cobbled up mess of an amplifier that's ever came through the door of D-Lab. So Kobbler, congratulations, you really outdid yourself this time. So what's the best plan of attack? Well, I already know that the amp powers, okay, because the owner said he actually played it and it sounds terrible. So we can assume that the power transformer and output transformer are okay. So what I'm going to do is completely unmod this amp, meaning I'm not going to test it. I'm going to carve all that stuff out and get down to the basic structure of that amp and then rebuild it to the print. So we're going to start topside. This craziness here, we're just going to clip it out. There's nothing here worth saving except for this cover. I'm going to remove all this cluster. We'll get that reinstalled. Same deal with the bottom side. We're cutting it out. So here we go. Little tie strap there. Electrical tape, cables going everywhere. Man, this is just beautiful. I'm not going to damage the original wiring. We're just going to get all this out of here. Look at there, a little wee way. Right? What else we got going on here? Let's see what's on the bottom of this board. Hey, some more relays. Just cut it all out. Beautiful. This guy was quite the experimenter. I have no idea what these mods are. I really don't care. We're just going to get it all out. This thing was just full of relays. These are all 5-volt relays. So I'm assuming he was switching in like different resistors and things for gain settings. Who knows? It's a big mess. But if you look underneath all that, the original eyelet board is here. The original circuitry is here. So it's easy enough to get this guy back to how it started. So we also have some terminal boards down here with a bunch of magic. And there's another one over here, and this is obviously the master volume circuit, which is going to be removed because I need to put those reverb potentiometers back in. So while lifting this little master volume board out of the way, I noticed right there you've got Smokey the resistor. I believe that used to be 100K like its little brother here. So we got some other issues with the amp. Alright, so there's the pile. It's like I stripped an amp out of an amp. Isn't that crazy? Can you imagine how much time it took to do this cobble job? I did notice that this pot was relocated to the back of the unit, and this looks like an original Fender type. So maybe that pot used to belong in one of these locations, right? The other thing that's nice is when he put the new pots in here, call it the vibrato pots, whatever it was, looks like volume 1, volume 2, he did not drill these holes out, thank God, so I can put the original jacks back in there. So I should be able to unmod this thing, and from the front it'll look fine. So unfortunately, when the guy put these new labels on, he scratched off the original lettering that was on there. That kind of sucks. So I'll have to see if maybe I can find some rub-on transfers, replace those, otherwise we'll have unidentified knobs. So I was able to get the front panel configured back the way it was stock. Got some new switchcraft jacks here. I was able to find 2 of the original pots, and I had to put in a new volume pot. So the next thing I need to do is verify all the parts values. I can see a lot of these that are not correct. You can see a lot of things that have been added. I'm going to remove all that, try to maintain the stock parts that I know should be there, repair this circuitry, and then we'll try to fire this guy up. So the unmod is coming along nicely. Yes, I still left those old blue caps in because I just need to initially test the amplifier and make sure that the stock configuration is going to work. One thing that's a really nice resource is you can get on the web, of course, and find these layout diagrams. So you really don't have to go by the schematic. You can just go by the picture. And this one happens to be on Watts Tube Audio's website. I use those guys a lot. Alright, it's time to buzz out this amplifier. Make sure that it's safe to turn on. So at this point I don't have the tubes installed, but what I want to do is just verify against this layout grounds and power supply connections. I'm using my newest meter to the shop, which is a Beckman 360, a very clean example of this meter. So first off, we're just going to go to the grounds. So you can see I have a lead connected to the chassis. So let's make sure that that's working. It is. I'm going to turn off that beep. Alright, and then I'm just going to go down this layout diagram where you see the ground symbols, and I'm going to make sure that we have continuity to ground. Okay, and that just lets me know that I didn't miss anything, because as you know, if you don't have a ground, then your connections are going to float. It's going to cause trouble. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of dance down here. According to the diagram, everything looks good, right? Now we're going to do a short to ground test on the high voltage lines, because we sure don't want a short on the power supply when we turn it on, okay? So this is where the filter caps come in. They also go over here to these 100K resistors that feed the tubes. I don't see any shorts. If anything they were shorted, it would have showed up. The screen resistors are right here. No shorts on those either. So that's a good sign. Alright, so now that we know we have proper grounds and we don't have any shorts, we're going to check the power supply routing. So off of the rectifier tube, it comes to a filter cap, okay? From there, it goes direct to your output transformer. That's this tap right here. That goes to pin 3 of each of the 6v6 tubes. There's 222 ohms. There's 222 on that side. So from the center tap to each tube, we're good. We also have some screen resistors here. There are 490 ohm resistors. If I can get my lead in there. 496 on that guy. About 495 on that one. And then those should also make their way over to the power supply connections. Now you also have the preamp section. This is where you can easily mess up because there's a lot of jumpers that hook all these tubes, the junctions of these 100Ks is typical, to the power supply. So to check the high voltage that feeds the preamp section, you're going to see these little flags on here, okay? This one says D. You can see a little wire tearing off. Well, that is going to the filter cap for the preamp section, okay? So you can see that wire. He comes up here and he junctions right there, ends up going to those 100K resistors. It should also go over here to these, and it should also come over to these, okay? So take some time, trace through the diagram, make sure that all your power supplies are connected where they should be, you don't have any shorts. Then you can install the tubes and fire it up, and that's what we're going to do next. Getting ready for the test of the little Deluxe after I've unmodded it. You can see I installed a 5U4 tube rectifier. I removed the solid state replacement. I do not believe in those on guitar amps because they raise high voltage, throw your bias off, cause problems, okay? I also verified the output transformer, and this is the Fender Deluxe transformer, the 022640. So even though it's a little bracketeer job here, it is the right transformer. Now when I opened the tube box, I noticed the guy had a set of 6L6s which were installed in the past. Bad idea. It does not match the impedance of that transformer. So I went ahead and installed a pair of sacrificial 6v6s for the initial test. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Initial power up. I've got it on Variac. I'm monitoring the negative bias. That is critical, obviously, that you have that so the tubes don't go into runaway. So I'm watching that as I'm bringing up the Variac. You can't see, but I'm watching the current that the amp is pulling. Everything looks good. I'm up to about 70 volts there. Obviously looking for smoke. And I'm also peeking around at those 6v6s, make sure they're not flaming out. It's looking good. Alright, so I'm at 100 volts. You can see my negative bias. Pulling about a third of an amp of current. So it has successfully powered up. Now let's try to run a signal through it. The amp is fully powered up right now. Still monitoring that negative bias. Dummy load, audio generator to the input of channel 1, and now we're going to use my new Heathkit oscilloscope. The Iwatsu that you see in many of my videos has found a new home. I really hated to do it because I loved it, but somebody loved it more than me. So now the Heathkit 4225 is in the setup. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to bring up my input. I'm injecting about 100 millivolt signal, channel 1. Here we go. And you can see She's looking good and clean. Let's go to channel 2. We're now on channel 2, which is a vibrato input. So this would be your tremolo and reverb channel. Same input, same dummy load. Let's bring up the volume. I can hear it singing in the dummy loads. Check the scope. Yep, good and clean and powerful. So that's great. Now I wonder, does the tremolo work? I do not have a reverb tank hooked up, so I cannot check that at this point. We will do that in part 2. We'll put a little jumper on here. We'll turn on the tremolo. So I got the jumper installed, simulating the vibrato pedal, right? Bring up her input. You can hear it singing. And here is the intensity knob. Go down to the scope. Here's the speed. So yep, that's working too. Really batting 100 here. Wish I had a reverb tank hooked up so we could check that, but like I say, we'll cover that in the next video. Okay, so the little Fender Deluxe Reverb unmod job is really looking promising. I was kind of shocked that both channels came right to life. I expected much worse. However, I did take the precautions of verifying it against the print. So guys, you know, if you got one of these old classic amps and one of your friends say, hey, I can hot rod that for you, you better make sure he's not a cobbler first, or you'll be sending it to me to put it back to stock. See you again.
Y'all come back now, you hear?